And now, without further ado, let's welcome to the stage our Rotary International Director, Jeremy Hurst.
Good evening, bon nuit, and buenas noches, friends. Thank you for joining us for the fourth session of our Membership Action Plan series, Creating Clubs for the Day. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you're with us here tonight, and you want to learn more about increasing your membership. Before we start, I just want to remind us of why we're here and the goals of our MAP plan. The realization came to us all that whilst some clubs are succeeding in growing membership, many clubs needed a plan they could easily follow, that's immediately actionable and backed by real-time data. The Membership Action Plan, or MAP, offers a multi-year, data-driven, step-by-step plan to help our clubs achieve consistent, moderate membership growth. It understands that we can't retain our way to growth, and we need to attract and retain new and existing members and create irresistible club experiences for them both. That said, information about increasing your club's membership can be hard to find, and when you do, it's often overwhelming. This Membership Action Plan is designed in bite-sized, easy-to-implement chunks with a toolbox full of downloadable goodies for each session, which in the near future will all be located on a new, fully interactive, easy-to-use website, giving you the confidence to accelerate your membership growth and provide your members with greater opportunities to enjoy Rotary and get increased value from their Rotary experiences. When you follow the MAP sessions, you can rest assured knowing you've got a step-by-step program backed by real-time data to expand your club's membership. Data that allows your club to plan, track, and measure its success. The Membership Action Plan puts you in control of your club's membership growth. And whether your club is thriving, surviving, or thriving, MAP is designed for you. So today, we're going to learn more about creating a club for today. Many of our clubs have followed the same model as when Rotary started in 1905. And if that's succeeding with this model, then tremendous. Keep up the great work. However, for struggling clubs, and even those that are stable at the moment, an evolution to a 21st century model is probably necessary to keep them relevant so that they can attract and keep their most important asset, our members, and grow before they start to decline. So, it's with great pleasure that I now introduce you to the current president of the Crescent Rotary Club, Karen Pollard, who will tell you about her club's journey and their success story. Thank you. Karen, over to you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Over the next few minutes, I'd like to introduce you all to a few members of my club who benefited from the creation of alternative membership types. First, I'd like to introduce Maxine. Maxine is a real estate agent with a servant's heart. As a newly minted agent, her schedule is unpredictable and her disposable income is limited. She joined Rotary because our club offered an active service membership type where she could participate in service projects, and she is at nearly every one, but which allows her to only attend traditional meetings as needed. Meet Charlie. Charlie has been a very active and engaged Rotarian for years. His sponsor told me that Charlie's interest in Rotary was always service. In fact, he interviewed the sponsor for an hour and a half before joining to make sure that our club offered enough opportunities for service. Recently, he left his job as CFO to start his own company. While his schedule no longer permits him to routinely attend club meetings, Charlie wanted to stay active and continue to participate in community service. Switching to an active service membership type has allowed him to do just that. Active service membership features flexible pricing and flexible schedule to attract and retain members. By cutting costs for food out of the equation and encouraging service project participation and leadership, rather than general meeting participation, membership grows. Active service members are still welcome at meetings and simply pay for meals a la carte. Many choose to attend every week and just opt not to eat lunch with us, but to stay engaged. Maintaining engagement of club members is one of the most important jobs of the membership committee. While the active service strategy serves to retain and attract more members, it also serves to improve engagement of club members as they are able to participate in the way that speaks to their hearts. It is now my pleasure to introduce George Robertson Burnett, Innovative Club Advocate for Zone 34, to talk about the incredible flexibility provided to clubs.
Good evening, all. Thank you for those inspiring and compelling stories, Karen. And I'm glad to let you all know that Karen will be back with us later. And perhaps Karen's stories prompt us to ask a question. That question being, is your club model too inflexible? Is it too restrictive in that we can only serve and be attractive to those who can meet our strict criteria? The chances are that if you are being successful, you have a meeting style and format that meets the needs and aspirations of a large percentage of your target audience, which is, of course, your members and potential members. But what if you are not being very successful in attracting new Rotarians or retaining those already attracted? In these circumstances, you may be encouraged to look at a trend that has recently become apparent for new clubs, new satellites, and reformatting clubs. This trend shows that some of our traditional structure is less attractive than perhaps we believe. So let us look at some items that may be considered less than attractive. Meal provision. The tradition of a set meal at a set cost, whether you attend or not, can be a significant barrier to prospective members and also a source of angst for current members. The trend for meal flexibility has been very apparent recently, with optional meals or no meal provision both becoming more popular. Then there is the preponderance for meetings during the day, Monday to Friday. This has generally been the basis for most clubs traditionally, but we have become very aware that we are only capable of attracting those who can meet this specific time frame. Evenings and weekends certainly offer new opportunities. Of course, if it works for you, that's fine, but the flexible approach has been far more prevalent lately. And this is also true of meeting format. Traditionally, it was the same meeting format each week, but many clubs have departed from that and introduced flexible formats, with traditional meetings interspersed with service opportunities, social events, online meetings, and not forgetting the opportunity for less frequent meetings. Our tradition to be meeting in city centre often adds to the complications created by heavy traffic and parking. And when you add the 1 to 1.5 hour meeting time to the traveling time to get to the meeting and back, this can mean we are restricting the club's membership to those people who can afford to write off 2 to 3 hours during the working day. Sometimes our rigid rituals can come as a shock to potential members. Let me give you an example. I was at a Rotary meeting where they had invited a number of Rotaractors. Right at the start of the meeting, everyone stood up and started singing the song Smile with great gusto. The look of sheer panic on the Rotaractors' face as they looked at each other saying, OMG, the old folks are singing. Their shocked look was unforgettable. My advice is, whether you like singing in clubs or not, I definitely think we should have a Surgeon General's warning before we exercise our vocal cords. So moving on, our invocation should also have a regard to the diversity of our organization's membership. This is all an integral part of our inclusiveness. Another aspect is that most of our traditional clubs still hand over a large part of their meeting to speakers. Fine if you can consistently get quality, informative, and entertaining speakers, but not so good if you have a constant parade of charities and organizations looking to fatten their coffers with the funds of good-hearted Rotarians, who quite honestly already have the best charity in the world in-house, our very own Rotary Foundation. Now, some or all of these may work for you, but we should be sure that we are not just continuing with the "we've always done it this way" syndrome, and really take a look at what gives value to our current and prospective members. Value for the time, value for their treasure, value for their commitment to service. I wanted to give you an example regarding a club recognizing that change was needed. I was part of the district's triage team when we got a call from a weekly lunchtime club with set meal and a long history, saying they would like assistance as they thought they needed an outside view as the club had lost its way and its passion. After a number of meetings with the club made major changes to their format, becoming a breakfast club to better serve the busy membership, dispensing with a fixed meal, reviewing tired fundraisers, and effectively getting back to enjoying their membership with far more flexibility. Within only a couple of years, the club won the district's Club of the Year award and remains a vibrant club with great relevance within the district and within their community to this day, proving bold moves can pay big dividends. And while we raise a smile with this cartoon on making things fit, we are not suggesting that you take a sledgehammer to your club, but perhaps just look at your format and style to ensure you are delivering an attractive, relevant Rotary to your members. Thank you for your consideration, and I wish you well in your quest to maintain or create strong Rotary clubs. And now I have the pleasure of turning the program over to Raishika Bush, who is the 2024-25 Governor for District 7750. Raishika, take it away.
Thank you, George. Rotary's product has not changed in 117 years. The world is changing, and so must Rotary. We need a new product that meets people where they are. Rotary has found that clubs that are more flexible, have less time commitment, and offer lower cost, obtain new members, and retain current members at a higher rate. Let's take a look at some characteristics that can make a club irresistible. They do not meet weekly. They are open to meeting after hours. Meals are pay as you come. The club provides a mixture of meetings, networking and socials, and finally, meaningful service projects. Now let's take a closer look at the rainbow of Rotary possibilities in membership types. We see that we have SpongeBob here to help us with that demonstration. First, we have a corporate membership. This is an opportunity for a club to connect with a local corporation or company they feel will be a great addition to the membership body. So this is how this works. One individual is identified as the corporate active member with up to 2 corporate associate members, all of whom are Rotarians. They pay all applicable dues, RI, district, and club. They can hold office in club leadership, being a club president, serving on the board, etc. Typically, in clubs where meals are prepaid along with the dues, the associate members are exempted from that requirement. If they attend a meeting where the primary member is not present, they can eat the meal that is included in the dues invoice. Of course, if both attend, the second person pays at the door. The fee schedule is developed by club leadership and it varies from club to club. In clubs that do not include meals on the dues invoice, the associate member may pay dues at a lower rate or be exempt from initiation fees or other measures to make it attractive. And Rotarians, don't forget to consider your employer as an option when considering corporate membership. Next, we have a family membership. This is for a couple or family unit in which one person is the primary member and up to 2 are the associate members. And typically the arrangement for the primary and the associate are like the corporate model. This is an opportunity to bring like-minded family members who care about their community into the Rotary family. As with many of the alternative membership types, the fee schedule is developed by club leadership and it varies. Next, we have e-member, also called virtual member by some. Clubs with e-members usually stream their meetings so members can attend virtually, or they can watch a recording of the meeting later. Of course, they will be encouraged to come to meetings in person, at which time they will pay for meals at the door. The meals are not included in the invoice, so they do not feel they're being billed for an element of the club that they are not participating in on a regular basis. This membership type makes Rotary available to those who may not be able to attend a regularly scheduled in-person meeting. Lastly, we have active service as a membership type. Service is the name of the game for these folks. Here's an example. My club, the Rotary Club of Aiken Sunrise, recently adopted this membership type and developed guidelines around its use. These are service-minded individuals who either can't or do not want a legacy experience. They pay RI, district, and club dues, and meals as you come, so meals are left off of the bill. This is a chance to extend membership to those with a heart for service and who prefer to live out their Rotary experience in that manner. This has been an attraction element for our club. As an additional note, active service members are welcome to attend in-person meetings at any time and are not required to have meals if they do so. A quick note about a club's governing documents in relation to alternative membership types as a whole. The Rotary International recommended club bylaws make no reference to alternative membership types. It may be prudent to insert verbiage that indicates that club leadership, meaning the board, has the option of establishing alternative membership types. That way, you don't have to come back to the bylaws whenever you make a policy change. That's the approach my club has chosen. Now back to Karen with some different success stories.
Thank you for sharing so many innovative membership types with us, Rashika. Let me introduce you to a couple of other club members who benefited from alternative membership options. This is Jessica. Jessica has spent the last many years focusing on work and motherhood. Now that her child is older, Jessica has more free time and has realized that she would like to be a more integrated person in her community. She found Rotary as a way to build social connections and fellowship with like-minded individuals. Since her work schedule would still make attending weekly meetings challenging, she opted to join as an active social member. Meet Brian. Brian is very quickly becoming one of the most active members of our club and is getting ready to become one of our president nominee. During the pandemic, he even started organizing a weekly after-work social opportunity that serves both as a fellowship and networking outlet for members, but also as a recruiting tool for our club. Brian regularly attends both standard club meetings and the weekly social. However, he realized that owing to a strict diet he was following, he was not eating lunch at the weekly meetings and did not want to continue to pay for meals each week. Therefore, he opted to adjust his membership to active social. While many Rotarians join to serve our communities, we need to remember that there are some who are passionate about the fellowship that Rotary membership provides. For these individuals, having an alternative membership type that allows them to build those networks and connect to their community in a flexible way is important. This membership type works in the same way that an active service type works, but engagement is focused on social opportunities and fundraising leadership rather than community service. Notice that both membership types contain the word active. That is not an accident. These are not rhinos or Rotarians in name only. They are engaging in the mission of Rotary in the ways that fill their needs best. As you can see, there are circumstances beyond our control that create barriers for entering Rotary and sometimes for remaining in Rotary. You may be thinking that all this sounds great in theory, but wonder how it works in practice. So let me just tell you. In my club, our membership numbers had slowly been declining from 135 to 75 over the course of 15 years. Club leadership decided to be intentional about focusing on removing barriers and creating opportunities for membership. Through implementation of the active service and active social membership options, we gained 7 new members and retained 8 who otherwise would have left, and grew our total membership to its current total at 87. That means that currently 15% of our club members exist as a result of alternative membership types. Creating active service and active social memberships was quick and easy. We grew our club and engaged our members, and you can too. You've got this. Now implement. Please allow me to introduce Zone 33 Rotary Public Image Coordinator, Billy Black, who will moderate our question and answer panel.
Thank you, Karen. We're going to have time for a few question and answers. Your questions need to go in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, not in the chat. We can't figure out which are questions. So if you would please put them in the Q&A box at the bottom. So one of the questions that we came up, and this is for Ashika, and I think she explained it really well, but it says, do we really need to change our bylaws in order to start a corporate membership?
The suggested answer to that is yes, but here's the however, and my Rotary elders will reprimand me if this is wrong. Our club started with the process of creating guidelines. And those guidelines are stored in an electronic database that we use in our district called DACDB, so that any leader that comes after us will be able to find those guidelines as well as the board members and follow those. So we started with guidelines. One of the reasons it's important with service, I'll say that, is because you don't want to give a person an opportunity to be an active service member and they come to one or two projects. We've actually outlined how many projects an individual must complete during a quarter to maintain that level of membership, because we are going to be monitoring that you're an active service member. So I'll say that at a minimum, guidelines are important so that it keeps everyone in line, and you can kind of double check and make sure that person is following the membership type that they said that they want to be a part of.
Thank you, Rashika. George, you mentioned that perhaps you might do away with speakers at every meeting if they're not inspiring or fun to have. How does that work?
Well, actually, with regard to not having a set speaker, there's plenty of other things that can be done. A lot of these flexible clubs introduce new items, or highlighting one of the members. One of the things about our fellowship is that it's great to know what our fellow members do, because how can we network with them if we don't know exactly what they do? So that's a huge element. Giving over parts of the meeting, a large part of the meeting, to that fellowship if you don't have a speaker. But I'm not suggesting that you dispense with speakers all the way. I think that flexibility that I was suggesting for the meeting, if you've got a great speaker, use them. Don't use bad speakers, effectively, and find something else to do, be it a quiz, be it an introduction of a member, either an old member or a new member. Bringing the changes, the unpredictability of the meeting is what I was suggesting. And some of the new club formats take that to the extreme, like nobody knows what to expect. They don't even put in an agenda. So when you turn up, and what they're trying to foster is that the fear of missing Rotary, as we've heard on a previous call before, FMR, fear of missing Rotary is, because you don't, the unpredictability of knowing what's to happen. So rather than just totally dispensing with speakers, if you've got a good speaker, use them and promote it so that people know that this is going to be a great speaker. But a constant, sort of week after week of speakers who are failing to hit that interest level is certainly not a good thing.
Well, thank you, George. I believe that we have answered in the chat that all of these, the PowerPoints and the recording and extra pieces of documentation, will be offered to you, and we will be sending that out tomorrow or the next day, and you'll have a link and a QR code to follow to get all of these pieces to help you. So for Karen, what is the weekly social event that you mentioned?
The weekly social event that we do in our club is we call Thirsty Thursday, and we just meet up at a local restaurant or bar after work, and it moves around to different places in our community. And people whoever is available can come and hang out and fellowship with Rotarians. We've recruited quite a few people who just happened to be there and looked over and said, "Hey, what are you all doing?" And we said, "Come hang out with us." And they ended up joining Rotary. So it's been a great tool to not only get to know club members better and to provide that outlet to our current members, but also to recruit new ones.
Thanks, Karen. George, what is the cost for being Rotarian? A minimum cost. I hear that don't charge them for meals, only charge them for what they're using. So what might that minimum cost be?
First of all, before I answer that, I would love an invite from Karen for her Thirsty Thursday, by the way. It sounds like just my kind of event. I'd love to go. So Karen, if you could email me, that'd be great. With regard to the cost, of course, it's different for every club and for every district because district dues are different. And then the only static is the Rotary dues. And I don't know the figure at the moment. Perhaps somebody could help me with that, with the actual figure that Rotary is charging at the moment, because obviously it's been going up a little bit, but it's still not a lot of money. And then your district dues are particular to your district. They may be $40, $50, $60, whatever that is. But I suppose the minimum cost is the district dues plus Rotary International dues. Because if you're in an E-club and you're not having food and you're not traveling, there is no other static cost. Now, the club can add costs to add to that, of course, and some people add a discretionary foundation amount, but it is discretionary. So the overall cost of Rotary is very small, but it's what the clubs add to that that actually has that figure. And I'm sorry I can't give you the exact figure because obviously I don't know what district dues are in every district. And I'm sure that someone will put Rotary's dues into the chat box so that we would at least know that figure.
Thank you. We also just redid our dues and we don't have meals now, but we wanted to make sure we had socials in there. So we really dickered over what that would be. And sadly, I can't remember what we decided on. So we're in Western Carolina. The beer runs cheap here. So this is a question. Let's try. Karen, is there a concern that adding these alternative membership types will cause clubs to use members that are paying full dues?
I know that's always a concern. We certainly heard that concern in our club, but what we actually found was we didn't lose members to the new membership types, but we did retain people who otherwise would have left. So it didn't cause anybody who was a fully engaged, loving to eat lunch every week member to stop doing that, but it did keep several members. I think I mentioned 7 or 8 members who were going to leave and then said, oh, well, now that we have this alternative strategy, I'll stay, because they wanted to be involved.
Great. Thank you so much. I have lots of things coming up here in the chat saying district dues are about under $60, but of course, all of our district dues are different. One of the things that we note, and I'm seeing if I can find it again, Rotary believes that 15% of members exist because of the new alternative membership types. So that kind of answers your question, Karen. We're getting new members that are clinging to these new alternative membership types. So that's really great. Also, we've noticed several times that things as small as wishing somebody a happy birthday with a birthday card. My husband got a birthday card today and he's 83, and you'd think that he would be over the birthday card stage, but he was all excited. He said, look, our club sent me a birthday greeting. So he's looking for Jennifer Jones, and I told him he already got one from Jennifer Jones at the beginning of the month. But those things really do make a difference. So Rashika, this one's for you. How do we communicate effectively with members who don't attend meetings as frequently?
Yes, so at Aiken Sunrise, we have an email that goes out each week. And it says the announcements, what's up and coming, who they can contact if they have any questions. Our membership committee also keeps a regular tab on who they haven't seen in a while or who normally comes and we aren't seeing them. And we actually develop a call list for those folks to give those people a call and say, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Do you need our help? We miss you. So those are two of the things that we at Aiken Sunrise use to keep contact with our folks that we don't always see on a regular basis. And sometimes when we don't know that email is working, we'll have a service project and someone will show up that we haven't seen in a month. And they're like, hey, I still get your emails and I saw you guys going to be out here picking up trash. I thought I'd come and help. So those are just two things that we use at Aiken Sunrise.
That's a great idea. I love that telephone call. That's very personal. Jeremy, let's try you here. How do you cover venue fees for meeting space and food if fewer members are attending meetings, or that's an unknown number that's attending meetings?
Wow, that's a very, very technical relationship with your venue question, I think. And I mean, I think there's a couple of approaches that you can try and achieve with venues, of course, and one is a flexible one where you try and build at the door rather than ahead of time. I know my club does that, and in fact, we've got a great relationship with the restaurant where we hold, the hotel where we hold our meetings, where they actually send out a note ahead of time. Actually, it comes out every Sunday, they ask us if we plan to come or not, and actually ask us to choose our food. So again, that's one circumstance, but I think it's got to be individually negotiated. But this is where these are the little things that matter, and these are the things that we need to put time into, and they do directly affect our Rotarians' experiences. So it's a great question, and it's like anything. If we put the time and effort into sorting these things out and planning these, then we'll have a better experience. But I would say, in relation to that question, it very much depends upon the relationship that you develop with the location, and oftentimes that's not easy because we're not always the most attractive client out there. When it comes to helping the meetings. So I think we've got to be realistic about that and find alternatives. And this is, I think, much of the reason why you're seeing alternative club types being so successful. It takes the stress out of the process.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy. Someone asked the question, did I hear correctly that if there is a corporate member and 2 associate members, all 3 pay RI and club dues? Rashika, can you weigh in on that since you introduced our corporate membership?
Yes, and I will defer to some of the
You're going to take a lifeline?
Yes, if I don't answer this correctly, but the answer to that is yes. What makes this option attractive is for the associate members, that meal cost. And again, the fee scale for these folks is going to vary from club to club, but they do pay RI, district, and club dues. However, those 2 associates can have those meal costs either kind of pay as you come or at a discount. So yes, you heard that correctly. And my Rotary elders that are on, if that was wrong or that didn't sound quite right, or you want to add something, please do.
George, was she speaking to you?
Yeah, well, I would just say that what we need to bear in mind that there are only 2 actual membership types within Rotary itself. We create these other elements in the clubs. So the 2 elements at Rotary are active or honorary. All active members pay Rotary dues, and therefore to be an active Rotarian, you will be paying Rotary International. Now, what the club does with regard to these different, like family membership, they can bring in their own due structure. But if you want to be in Rotary, you're paying Rotary International.
Absolutely. And one of the items that comes up in our district is they think that the corporation is the membership, is the person. So Terry Weaver is always saying, corporation cannot be a member, it has to be a person. So just remember that you can't put that in the database. Okay, we're going to, since there are no more questions, we'll post an FAQ in the same place that we will have the video, and I will send out that link and a QR code probably on Tuesday afternoon after we get that out there. We will get to that and you can get your questions answered there. So thank you so much, Rashika and George and Karen and Jeremy, for answering their questions. And thank you all for listening. And I think we're going back to Jeremy.
Well, just want to say on behalf of the whole MAP team how happy we are that you've joined us once again for another MAP call. One of the questions that I think was touched on in a little earlier was the why grow? And I think it's important that we understand that. It's important we understand that there's, I think as many times you've heard, that attrition is real. It happens. It happens whether we like it or not. The average attrition rate for a club that just happens to sit there and pretty much doesn't have an intentional strategic membership strategy for growth is around 15% per annum typically for Rotary and other membership organizations. It happens. Even if we're doing really well, it's around 10% per annum. Now, because of that, you really can't retain your way to growth. So an intentional strategy like the one we talked about here is essential. And the opposite applies as well. Just because we grow doesn't mean necessarily we're going to have retention. But and not all growth is good. You know, sometimes a boom bust type of growth where you push 1 year and then the next year you're down again. It's almost like a bad diet. So what we're talking about here are the strategies, the simple things you do year on year, making membership growth, making your members' experiences, making an irresistible club become part of your culture, who you are. And with that, what we believe will happen is that you will grow, you'll be able to do more in your communities, be a better Rotary, deliver higher impact service, and most importantly, your members will get greater value and enjoyment out of their Rotary experiences. We hope that the tips you receive on these webinars, the messages you got tonight will resonate with you. You'll be able to pick parts out of them and apply them in your clubs and in your districts. Thanks for attending. We look forward to seeing you next month. Let's do this. We've got it. Take care. Have a great one. Bye.